What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new video where we will talk about Liverpool's owners and the fact that Virgil van Dijk and Konate both called out the owners to spend some serious money on players. And let me know in the comments below, let's make this a discussion in the comments. What are your thoughts on Liverpool's owners? Do you think that they have done enough to support Jurgen Klopp in the past 5 years with the transfer budgets? I think the Liverpool owners spending is an absolute disgrace that Liverpool have spent around £30 million net spend on players in the past 5 years or during the Jurgen Klopp era. And I think the fact that Virgil van Dijk and Konate both in a matter of days called out the owners to spend some serious money and support the project, and yes, the players screwed up, Konate admitted, but he also admitted that Liverpool need to replace the outgoing players. We are losing 4 senior players, and if we don't replace them with quality players, then we will struggle once again. And also the fact that Liverpool have been basically feeding the Liverpool-based journalists with this nonsense. For example, this April, Paul Joyce, who is a Liverpool-based journalist, and he's one of the mouthpieces of the football club in the media, he said that Liverpool's owner will back Jurgen Klopp this summer with significant money to spend in the transfer market. Jude Bellingham remains the #1 target and he is keen to move to Anfield. Well, yesterday it was announced that Bellingham joined Real Madrid. It's official, and I understand why Liverpool decided to pull out of this deal, because with bonuses and add-ons, Bellingham will cost £115 million for Real Madrid, and also he will have wages of around £350,000 per week, which could rise to £400,000 or £450,000 per week in 1 or 2 years, depending on how well Bellingham performs. So I think this is an absolute disgrace that Liverpool have been basically saying that don't worry, we are not signing a midfielder because we are saving our money to sign Jude Bellingham. And inevitably it happened that Liverpool missed out on him. And also some Liverpool fans have been calling the owners out, including myself, because last summer it was a travesty that we missed out on Tchouaméni. We tried to go for Bellingham. We were told he's not available. Dortmund didn't want to sell Bellingham and Haaland in the same transfer window. And then we decided to wait a season for Jude Bellingham and not buy another midfielder. Don't mention Arthur. He doesn't count. We paid £110,000 per week for Arthur to be constantly injured and to play 12 or 13 minutes of football in a Liverpool shirt. We didn't go for Matheus Nunes because we were waiting for Jude Bellingham. We didn't go for Bruno Guimaraes or any other midfielder basically throughout the whole summer transfer window last summer because we were waiting for Jude Bellingham. And then what happens in May or April? We pull out of the Jude Bellingham deal, and that is an absolute disgrace. And Virgil van Dijk called out the owners. He said that yes, Alexis McAllister is a very good player. He is exactly what we need. It's a good start to the transfer window, but hopefully we can get a few more quality additions. So that means at least 2 or 3 more transfers needed, according to Virgil van Dijk. And Virgil van Dijk previously said that Liverpool absolutely have to sign players, and Konate also called out the owners, saying that you can't expect to compete at this level in the Premier League with young players only. So we need to replace the 4 players that are outgoing. So at least another midfielder and a centre back is needed for Liverpool to compete. So FSG, I'm calling you out right now. If you don't spend serious amounts of money on strengthening the Liverpool team, if you don't sign enough quality talented players, and we don't ask for £100 million transfers. We don't want to spend like Manchester City because we know we cannot. Of course, in an ideal world, Liverpool would have rich owners who are not sports washing and using Liverpool to sports wash their image because they are state representing a whole country, representing a whole state. We don't want those kind of owners at Liverpool, but we also want owners who are ambitious and who want to do absolutely everything to build a team capable of challenging for the Premier League and the Champions League every single season. And the FSG have failed to do that in the past 3 years. In my opinion, they didn't back Jurgen Klopp with enough transfer funds. And if FSG don't spend serious amounts of money, they risk losing the faith of key players like Virgil van Dijk, Konate, Alisson, Mo Salah. They are giving their absolutely everything. And yes, some of them had below par seasons this season. And Konate admitted that the players screwed up. But they need help in the transfer market in the form of quality players. I think that's a given. And also, these top players will start thinking about leaving Liverpool if we don't show enough ambition in the transfer window. We can't keep expecting Jurgen Klopp to do miracles, to turn water into wine, and to absolutely work magic on the pitch, because there are so many rich teams in the Premier League, so many extremely competitive teams, and Liverpool are not even doing the bare minimum, which is to support Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, with 150 million pounds of transfers. Because what have we been saving money for if not to back Jurgen Klopp in this summer transfer window? And it takes a lot for a footballer to come out and publicly talk about his club spending more money in the transfer market. Virgil van Dijk warned us last summer about the importance of signing which midfielders, which we didn't listen to. And look what happened. We had an absolute disaster of a season. Konate said, and I quote, "I think we have 4 players leaving this season: Ox, Keita, Milner and Firmino. We are obliged to replace them. If we don't replace them, how do we do it? We are understaffed and we lack quality right now. We can't play with young people at this level. We can't expect the likes of Bajcetic, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and maybe even Conor Bradley and others to just become world beaters. We need quality and experience. And yes, of course, a few young players sprinkled in alongside the quality senior players is fine, but you can't win a title with mostly young players. Look at Arsenal. Even they built a great team. Majority of them are young players growing and developing together, but they didn't have the experience and the know-how to last the distance in the title race. And they probably didn't have as much quality on the bench as Man City. And a football expert said that Liverpool's failure looked mostly like a quality issue. At least two key players in crucial positions seemed like they no longer have it on the pitch. That happens to everyone eventually. It needs to be addressed. Jurgen Klopp and his coaches have to be really honest in their assessments this summer. To watch 3 senior midfielders leave, to watch how 2 other senior midfielders underperformed and conclude that only 1 new midfielder is needed would be absolutely mental, batshit crazy. There is no way Jurgen Klopp, his coaches, or anyone serious about performance and analysis will see it that way. But what Jurgen Klopp feels he needs and what the owners, FSG, will sanction can be very different things. When a club sits 4th on the football rich list like Liverpool FC do, there is no one who wants to give that club a bargain deal on quality. Who knows, maybe they strike it lucky with another low value release clause. A couple of key midfielders were awful last season, but of course you can't rule out the 63 game season that we had the season before, where we almost won the quadruple, and then you have to play all the games in 2022-23, and also you have to play the World Cup in between. So probably the likes of Henderson, Fabinho and all of the others were absolutely knackered. Also, not signing a midfielder after missing out on Tchouaméni is absolute criminal negligence, and some fault is on Jurgen Klopp's shoulders as well, because Jurgen Klopp repeatedly kept saying last summer, we don't need a midfielder, we have 8 midfielders, all different profile of midfielders, we are fine. Jurgen Klopp asked journalists, tell me one midfielder that has a skill set that we don't have in the squad. In the end, he admitted himself, Jurgen Klopp, that he was wrong, but by that time it was too late. We only managed to sign Arthur in a panic buy, panic loan, and that turned out to be a nothing signing. Liverpool's biggest block in terms of recruitment may not be a lack of Champions League football or lack of money, it might be a lack of ambition. This football expert continued. The top players want to play with other top players. Liverpool's owners never showed they want to sign the top players, and I don't think they will start now. Bellingham is an example. They can promise him European leading standard wages, they can pay the additional fees, but they can't promise him he isn't going to share a midfield with Jordan Anderson, Fabinho and maybe Thiago for 20 games per season. Liverpool of course are not Real Madrid, they make sure of that. Jurgen Klopp proved he can manage a team to win titles, which is great. Affordable players become world beaters, world class, world leading players. But as every consistently successful team has taught us, good teams are short-lived and they need constant tweaking and constant refreshing. The issue now is that as a top 4 cash generating club in the world, sitting in a league where so many clubs are overpaying for players, those good players are now much less affordable. If FSG don't get real about what keeping your place at the top end of the Premier League actually takes, Liverpool aren't going to be at the top end of the Premier League anymore. In that case, the Jurgen Klopp years will go down as a flash in the pan and not the opportunity to elevate the club that it should have been. And we are already seeing signs of that, because after winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League, Liverpool should have doubled down and kept spending big amounts of money. We had great revenues. We are still having great revenues. We are the 4th richest club in the world when it comes to revenues and when it comes to overall valuation. And if FSG don't have the money to support Liverpool's transfers, then why not just sell 10 or 20 or 30% of the club and give the new investors a place on the board, give the new investors some incentives to buy a percentage of the club, that in the future you could own the whole of Liverpool Football Club. If you spend 500 million pounds in an investment, surely some of that could fund Liverpool's transfer business. And I mean, after Liverpool won the Champions League title in 2019 in Madrid, Liverpool should have never looked back. We should have kept investing into the playing squad. We should have bought other players like Fabinho, Salah, Alisson, Van Dijk. That is the great spine of the team. And we should have bought more midfielders. That's, I think, absolutely without question. Signing one senior midfielder in Thiago in 4 years is absolutely criminal. And that the Champions League final was exactly 4 years ago. And since then, we only signed Thiago as a senior midfielder. When every summer you need to sign at least one midfielder to keep it fresh. And we could have sold Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain for some money, at least. We should have told them, get yourself a club that will buy you, because you are not going to play. Liverpool didn't do that. Liverpool waited for all these players to run their contracts down, and we are doing the same with Matip and Thiago. Apparently they will run their contracts down as well. And I mean, James Pearce said that Liverpool will sign one more midfielder and one more centre-back, so that's promising. But if we only sign 2 midfielders and a centre-back, is that enough for Liverpool to keep challenging for the title and trophies? Because last season we didn't. I mean, this season that just finished, we didn't challenge for anything really. Last season we were 2 games away from the quadruple, which was absolutely brilliant. But we need to keep that going. We need to build a team good enough to challenge for titles and trophies. And yes, signing Alexis McAllister is brilliant. Liverpool shouldn't be praised too much for that. We underpaid for a world-class player like Alexis McAllister. He would have cost 50 or 60 million. We got him for 35 million. But we have to keep signing quality midfielders, because other clubs with more money than Liverpool will sign 4 or 5 quality players guaranteed in the Premier League. And if Liverpool don't do the same, we can't expect Jurgen Klopp to perform miracles and to finish ahead of all these juggernauts of Man United, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, who keep spending more money than Liverpool. Konate also said we had a rather complicated start to the season. Afterwards, as we have seen over the last 2 months, we have a certain pressure. We have really remobilized, and Liverpool, actually, if you just take the last 20 games of the Premier League season, so the second part of the season, we would have finished in the top 4. We said to ourselves, but our goal is the Champions League. And when you look at our last 10 or 11 games, there are 10 wins and I think 7 from 9, and it's us, it's the players. At one point we screwed up on the season. The start of the season was not good enough, but it happens to have seasons like that. We are lucky to have our supporters who are always behind us. The season is over, we must not think about it again. You have to remember the mistakes you made and think about next year. I'm sure it's going to be a very good season. We have to look forward, but the owners have to spend money and we have to keep calling them out, otherwise they will just leave Liverpool as a club languishing in and out of the top 4, and that's not where Liverpool should be. Second is nothing. That was Bill Shankly's and Bob Paisley's motto. If you are first, you are first. If you are second, you are nothing. So that's the kind of ambition that Liverpool have to show, and I just wish that the owners would support Jurgen Klopp with more money in the transfer market to sign better players and more quality, because otherwise Liverpool will be left behind. Let me know how do you see everything that we talked about in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.